invited him on Monday, the 8th of September. He responded to the invitation by the police, went with his lawyers, submitted himself to interrogations. Within an hour of interrogations, he was whisked into NIB custody. The question is, why would the police investigating a matter and has its own police cells decide to send a citizen who is being investigated on a matter which is a misdemeanor into NIB custody? It must be stated that our checks at the NIB confirms that the NIB is not interrogating Abronye, neither are they investigating him. According to the NIB, they are only recipients of the man Abronye. In other words, the police sent him there that they should keep him. That is why they received him. But they are not the ones who are investigating. So the question is, why would Ghana Police Service claim to be investigating a person and rather decide to send him to NIB cells? Is it to punish him or what? Then they kept him the whole of Monday night, and Tuesday morning, being the 9th, he was brought to court. When they brought him to court, the police insisted that they still needed him for further investigation. Therefore, they want him to be remanded into lawful custody. Of course, the judge upheld the application and remanded Abronye to be brought to court today. Now, the sad part of it is that when he left court, the police handcuffed him.
Have a new crop of I'll call them new journalists, who anybody with a phone and a camera can report news or comments on national issues. Now the point is, who holds those people responsible? And that's what he's saying. If you go to some of the WhatsApp platforms, or you go to some of the commentaries in the TikToks and others, we have what we call hate speech, incitement to violence. Those are criminal. Despite the fact that we have removed the criminal libel laws, there are some laws that make such people accountable. Because if we don't regulate that sector, it can lead this nation to war. There are some of the incendiary statements that have been made in the Boko situation that are fueling some of what is happening there, making people hate each other and see each other as enemies. It's been the same in the Gonja Brefo thing. Some people fanning and inciting violence against each other. This falls in the ambit of the National Signals Bureau. And so the National Signals Bureau now has the technology to use your IP number and find you wherever you are. So I'm sending a signal to Ghanaians that we can find you those doing those hate speech and things. We'll use your IP number, we'll trace you. And when we trace you, we'll deal with you under the criminal code for inciting violence and disturbance of the peace. But I believe that beyond that...
Right. So you heard the president at the media press that he had with the media. And it's a matter that is very concerning, isn't it? That in recent times, There are people who are hiding behind, the anonymity sort of that social media provides. And they say just anything at all and get away with it. And he says this is wrong, particularly the questioner asked about hate speech, that people are using this, causing tribal, ethnic confusion, which can actually destabilize the country. And he said, Signals Bureau is working on that. They will use your IP addresses to track you down and deal with you under the law. Should we be happy or we should be concerned about the president's statement? Coming at a time when TikTokers have been dealt with for some of call them the incendiary comments. People are threatening death and harm, left, right, center. And now Abronye is also denied bail after how many days now? He's done almost a week or more in detention. And people are livid about why he should not be granted bail so that he defends his case. After all, he pleaded that he's not guilty to the comments that he made. Right. So let me begin with Yusuf Seni. Yes. Should we be worried or we should be happy that the president is going to lead us to stop a culture that is beginning to breed danger for our country?
Thank you, Samson. And let me agree. Who say, like F1?
Well, good. It's Hosea.
Okay. And then Bright, and not Bright. Bright, yes.
Miracles and Bright.
Right. And Miracles, we've spoken. He's my friend, but on the other side.
You trained me, so I'm just simply following
of a different matter.
I'm following the manual.
That's a nice.
Yes, I saw it. He didn't look like Dr. Bawumia until he said that.
He's not the one. The Gen Z's call it the mural.
The mural.
You will see it. But the Gen Z's will see it.
Be careful about the spectacle and how it is shaped. It can be misconstrued at another person.
So today I've been probing, shirts as well. So that's Bawumia, the man who represents ideas, and that's Madiba.
Madiba, yeah.
Nelson Mandela. And as I probed, I realized that actually this shirt was given to Bright by the States, South Africa. Okay, let's hear you.
So in fact, the president is not saying anything new. In or around the year 2020, we met and looked at the cybersecurity zone, and we looked at the activities that were coming out, new media, and how that could challenge the traditional notions of responsibility. And so how do you deal with people who exploit the opportunities granted them in the new media, malign, use hate speech, and all those things which really, if it were in the traditional media, you'll be able to hold them responsible. So now, and this debate is not only limited to Ghana. Recently, the United Kingdom, there was talk about a throwing of a footballer who had missed a penalty, and the footballer almost nearly committed suicide. He said that he won't take future penalties. And the discussion was that, well, so if is the social media that is being used to troll the player, who has the responsibility to ensure that that doesn't happen? There was some consensus, unanimity, that those who own the platform, they should have that responsibility, and that they need to develop regulations to ensure that people don't misuse that platform. The same thing, Samson, I heard you complaining one day when after your distance, somebody wrote something that was totally not correct. Totally. But he had already published that. You wouldn't reach, you only exercise your right to to counter what he has said. But probably many people who read what he wrote and not reading what you subsequently wrote will walk away with those notions about you, which were totally untrue. Sometimes I sit on this platform and say things, and I go and read things that somebody has written, and you want to check the byline. Who is that person? The Marvelous TV. Who is that Marvelous TV? Who is that? Who is behind it? And totally different. Totally different. That's what Donald Trump calls fake news. How do we deal with fake news? So what the president is saying, and I mean, and let me back roll small. I mean, you remember Rwanda? Rwanda was even the use of a traditional media. Somebody went and sat on radio and called a group of people cockroaches. And what do you do with cockroaches? You exterminate them. And so many of those guys, many of the Hutus were killed. That was irresponsible for somebody to do that, to use public media to do such a thing. At the same thing, we need to find a way to balance the need for people to exercise their right to speech, freedom of speech, as captured in Chapter 5 of the Constitution, and also balance that with the requirements of responsibility, taking responsibility for what a person has said and holding people accountable for what they have said.
Sam George has been talking about a law that is being made in this regard. We don't know about it yet, so we don't know what is contained in there. I don't know what you know, that like elsewhere, the way they are doing it, it is the owner of the platforms that they are punishing for these hate speeches. Is that what we are seeking to do? Because I know also that in our national security strategy document, hate speech has been flagged as a national security issue.
Yes. And even not only in Ghana, everywhere, hate speech. And you know, that can be really, really debilitating. I mean, that can be sapping. I mean, if somebody says something about you, and I experienced that at first hand when I said something about, I mean, and the way I was attacked, regardless of what I meant, clearly undermines the freedom of expression. And so, the people who say those things must be held responsible. Now, how Sam George is conceiving that, I don't yet know. But what I can tell you is that when the draft of the law is finally made available, all of us will input and ensure that we deal with this emerging phenomenon. Nobody should have the right to sit in the corner of his room and create content meant for public consumption without any iota of responsibility. People must have responsibility. They must be responsible for what they have said. We must be able to hold them. If you want to create a civilized, sane society, people should be responsible.
But how do you marry that with our constitutional dispensation of the freedom guaranteed to speak your mind?
Within the limits of the law. The constitutional guarantee says within the limits of the law. I mean, you've forgotten that caveat at the end of Chapter 5. Within the limits of the law.
Even in Chapter 6 itself. The Chapter 6 is very clear about the duties of us as citizens. While Chapter 5 right from start gives us the freedom the right to freedom of speech. Chapter 6 itself reminds us to respect the rights, freedoms, and legitimate interests of others. And generally to refrain from doing acts detrimental to the welfare of other persons. It tells us to foster national unity and live in harmony with others. So there are also constraints on us relative to the freedoms we have to speak and what we say. There are going to be quite some complexity. There's definitely going to be a philosophical, fine line on how we define an overreach also by government. We've taken time as a country to really fight issues around criminal libel, where states abuse that power to suppress our rights to also speak. How do we find that balance will require proper national debate. And I hope Sam George or whoever it is spearheading that will not be driven by the energy of the politics, but would actually create a very open forum for proper debate and structure to this. You take platforms today. Brad Simmons does not really need to actually own a platform registered Ghana. It can actually be anywhere. And once people have access to that content, that person can promote whatever they want to promote. So even enforcing itself will also create another
Challenge.
Yeah. So there's a certain balance. But I just pray that government will not take advantage of this and actually end up suppressing the rights of people. We must create a forum for healthy, open, honest national debate and discussions on how to structure
I return to you with a specific question. But Bright, because we are talking about this at a time when Abronye is going through what he's going through, recently the TikTokers, were charged under these same laws. Just a year ago, there was this other guy who had said things about the IGP, made some of these comments. He got a 4-year jail term, as we understand. But the George Orwell that this judge quotes also said, if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear.
As someone who has very enthusiastically embraced new media, obviously I'm concerned, Let me say that it's trivially true that you can't shout fire in a crowded theater. Everyone knows that, right? My concern in this country is that often the trajectory between politics, policy, and law is fractured. It's what I call catanomics, right? Normally in societies that are, matured in these matters, we identify problems through politics. People talk about it, complain, there's agitation, there's whatever. And then people that are less prone to passion, less driven by sentiment, less moved by the fashion, those people deliberate on policy. And then when policy is in place and it's being tested and we have a sense of what we are trying to do as a society and it's crystallized, then you have law. We tend to mix it up all the time. Start with the law, then we are not able to enforce the law, then we try to develop a policies context, and then the policy is a mess, and then we come back to politics. That confusion of the trajectory between politics to policy and then finally to law is one of our biggest problems. Let me explain this in this context of harmful speech. Harmful speech is a spectrum. We have speech, for instance, that is hate speech. Hate speech is not the same as any other kind of harmful speech. It must be focused on a particularly identifiable group. It must be geared towards discrimination of that group. So a group could be gender-based, it could be racially based, it could be ethnic-based, etc. If the speech is intended to foster discrimination against that group, that's hate speech. And that's not whether it's true, whether what you say is true. If you are basically speaking in such a manner that people feel that Gas, Ewes, Asantes, white people, or whatever are deserving of discrimination, you are doing hate speech. That's not the same thing as incitement.
That's sure.
Where you are trying to, in effect, provoke violent expression. You are trying to do things that will get people to act in ways that are violent and for which often there are national security implications, and therefore the police must be up and doing, because if they don't act quickly, something could degenerate.
But speech that incites violence, stirs ethnic or religious animosity and tension, or threatens public peace is hate speech.
Not necessarily. Hate speech is only if there's identifiable groups that you are targeting. When it comes to incitement, it's another set of issues. Often also, incitement is very transitory. We can just remove you, stop you from saying what you are saying, and diffuse the situation, and things are fine. It's not all the time that incitement lives on. Hate speech often lives on. You go on radio and you systematically dehumanize, gar people consistently over time. It doesn't matter that what you did dissipates. It lives on in the subconscious of people, and that has an effect. There is defamation, which has nothing to do with groups, and nothing to do necessarily with national harmony and cohesion. People have personal reputational issues.
That's right.
There is harassment, verbal harassment, which often does not necessarily require proof that that person has been harmed in any substantial way. But if that harassment creates conditions in which the person feels as if they cannot continue to operate as they would ordinarily operate, then you are still harassing them and they have issues. Here's my concern. We have not thoughtfully thought through all these different dynamics, decided on what we want to do with incitement per se, hate speech per se, etc., verbal harassment, bullying, etc., created that matrix thoughtfully, attempted to implement it through existing law, learned where there are gaps, and then decided what a new law will achieve. We've not done it. And this is how we do everything in this country. Think of it carefully. In every context, we start like this. There's agitation before you realize there's a new law. And then after a couple of years, we abandon the law. There are laws in this country around littering.
Yeah.
Massive laws around littering.
Yeah.
In 2015, some people got up and said we should now introduce criminal penalties for littering because the fines are not substantively effective. What have we done with the existing laws on municipal bylaws, Public Health Act, etc.,
That's right.
to get us to the position where you can introduce criminal penalties for littering? And I think we have to start reordering the way we organize public affairs in this country very carefully. Start with clarity around policy. What are we trying to achieve in the different areas of harmful speech? Where is it that existing law is not sufficient, etc.? What is it that we can do to implement current law more effectively against verbal harassment and things like that? And then, when you are convinced that you need new law, you have a gaps analysis, you have a need analysis, and you plug in the new law. Last point I'll make is that we tend also to privilege the sensibilities and the interests of the powerful. If Mr. Abronye had gone after me, or somebody else had gone after me repeatedly over several years, I doubt that this action would have been taken. I think it's because he started to target senior members of the security services. We should not introduce law that simply makes life comfortable for the powerful. We have to create laws that target the majority. In this country, the biggest problem we have in the area of harmful speech is not the occasional incitement or whatever. We don't have that much of that. What we do have is a huge problem with verbal harassment, with bullying, cyberbullying, etc. And how we deal with that is going to be very difficult because even in countries that have a traditional tendency to look at these things in much greater detail, they are struggling to handle cyberbullying. Last point I'll make is, I think the president was overly focused on law enforcement when he talked about, the National Signals Bureau and things like that, right? But a lot of these instances, you cannot use law enforcement primarily to discharge the obligation. Mass cyberbullying. Is National Signals Bureau going to start tracking everyone who abuses people with anonymous accounts on Facebook? Not possible. So in those circumstances, you have to think about moderation. And is it moderation done by Ghana? No, we have the moderation done by the platforms. And there are countries that are at the forefront of how to handle that kind of moderation. Some have gone to the extreme, like China and the rest, where your comment will just disappear. Maybe that's not where we want to go. We want the kind of moderation that is balanced. But we have to do it in an open manner. If you are going to get Facebook, Twitter, and the rest, because we remember that towards the election, it was evident that somebody was working with the platforms to freeze accounts, to suspend accounts. As soon as you say something, your account is suspended. It was not open, it was not transparent, it was not policy-driven.
Was yours suspended?
Mine was never suspended, but there were a couple of very prominent people who, I think H. Prempe, suffered that repeatedly.
Yeah.
So what was going on was definitely that somebody was, I don't know who was acting. So my view of the matter would be that we have to be transparent about these things, publish the white paper, publish the blue paper, let there be debate, structure it, and then let's test these things in law finally.
So in September 2024, when Mohammed Ibrahim, Sotum, one of the NDC's organizers in Sotum, made the comments on social media, Facebook, X, and TikTok, the police said that he had said in the video that the Ghana Police Service in the Ashanti region, under the direction of the Inspector General of Police, Dr. Akufu Dampare, and the Minister for the Interior, Henry Korte, were recruiting fake police personnel to kill citizens of Ghana during the December 7 elections. This is what he got prosecuted for and jailed 4 years. So is it high-handedness?
You see, when it comes to falsity of news and the rest of it, those of us in this industry have to be very careful. Because there are times when, despite diligence, despite real diligence, the information you have can be countered by someone as false in one direction or the other. That is why I go back to a framework of harmful speech. Was this publication likely to endanger the peace? Remember that when you look at the criminal law and the way it's structured, it's very, very specific. It breaches conduct conducive to breach of the peace, offensive conduct in different directions. Right. There are concerns around publishing of fake news or false news
to create false and alarm,
to create fear and alarm, to create fear and alarm. So those elements and the rest are defined in common law, right? But I don't think we have a sufficiently developed jurisprudence in this area. That's one of my fears. So it gets to a point where even when you look at the jurisprudence that the judges have given to us, it's not always clear what are the thresholds. What is the threshold for a kind of publication that will engender fear and alarm? Is that an empirical point? Is it post-ante? Is it that when I did it, certain things happened, and the police have evidence that because of this hypothesis, the law says
likely to, so there's a potential to.
But then that potential to, is it judge ex ante or is it judge post ante? Because there are judges who will say that, no, I want to see what was the effect, to see whether it was likely to.
That's right.
Because of intent, because of what you lawyers call menstrual, right? So my argument is that the construction of the proceedings, the
law itself is problematic.
It's not problematic, it's the way the jurisprudence that we have doesn't give clarity.
Okay.
So we need to have clarity.
The direct question to you, and I move on to Dennis, even though Yunusa has his hand up, so maybe I'll hear him quickly before, is that in the circumstance of this man, Mohammed Ibrahim,
yes,
would you say that this was high-handedness? That he's on Facebook, he's on TikTok, and he's saying that the Ashanti Region Police, under the direction of the IGP and Interior Minister Henry Kote, were recruiting, fake police people to kill people during the elections? Should he have been dealt with by the law in the manner he was dealt with?
I think it's totally irresponsible speech. But my concern is whether we have the absolute clarity of the likelihood of harm.
Yeah, so my question is, what do you do to that irresponsible speech?
First of all, we have to be able to gauge harm. What will be the likely effect of this? And what happened? I think that should be our starting point. My view is that a lot of the irresponsible speech we see doesn't really lead to much harm.
What he said was false. Shouldn't matter.
It is true that it's false, and that is a problem.
Okay, and I would therefore was dangerous.
Yes, I will not have a problem. I will not have a problem.
That gauging is there.
Yes.
Right, so let's just get straight.
Yeah, but
we are running into an election.
Yes.
And you start saying this. It's a very dangerous thing.
I agree.
It's something that can actually create chaos in this country over our elections.
I agree.
Turn us into some civil war unnecessarily.
I agree.
Over a certain suspicion like the First World War.
I agree. But my point is that whether that scope of harm, you need the kind of blunderbuss approach to cure it. It's not what I'm not claiming.
Okay, so what do you want to say, Inusa? And in addition to what Bright was saying about the way we look at who is saying what, okay, so that if somebody said things about Bright, the state will ignore. But if it is said about the IGP or somebody of the sort or minister, then we'll pay attention. So
selective enforcement.
Selective enforcement, and that's how power is structured. Also,
true.
We can't run away from that.
True.
That's how power is structured.
But we have to be sensitive to it.
Those who have it, exercise it and demonstrate to it. That's how it is. Now, so as a developing country,
they don't just demonstrate; they are required
to do that.
Sorry, what do you say?
So those who hold power are required to demonstrate that power, to manifest that power.
I'm not sure that is something we can assume.
Okay, make your point quickly.
So my point is that Bright is talking about two things. Law originating or arising from customary practices or practices pertinent to a society that culminates into a form of standards for the regulation of human conduct within the society. That is typically common law. That's typically common law. And only societies that emerged during those times, during the feudal times, created that system. New societies like us can only find that system within our customary law. And that's why in Article 11, you find that customary law.
What I was saying was different, but
so that is it. You talk about practices and what?
No, policy. Mine was not about practices.
The Constitution,
law itself is policy.
So the Constitution is that. So again, the second thing is that the Constitution is makes it mandatory. that if you are bringing a law into the country, that's Article 106, that law must be accompanied with an explanatory memorandum setting out in detail the policy and principles of the bill, the defects in the existing law, the remedies proposed to deal with those defects, and the necessity for the introduction.
That's parliamentary practice.
No, that's the law. That's how the law is. You can't just introduce a law.
No, it sits in parliament. Most of these things sit in parliament.
No, it's a requirement.
I'm talking about practice.
It was supposed to be a quick intervention because you had finished making your statement. Dennis, I needed you guys to tell me before I go to Dennis. So, have you heard what Abronye is reported to have said?
I have, because of this show, I've taken the time to hear it. What I saw that seemed particularly worrying or alarming is this claim that the IGP was part of the NDC's strategic team for the Akutia election. That is the one that I saw.
He attended meetings.
He attended meetings and things like that. So that's the one that was claims. I don't know anything else that he said.
He being corrupt and having received some money.
But that would be defamation.
Correct.
That would be, I would be completely worried if he'd been arrested on the basis of defamation. Because civil defamation.
So once again, I'm asking you, do you condemn that as irresponsible speech as you have done for the earlier one? And how do you want that to be dealt with?
I think Mr. Abronye is an easy target because of the way he postures. It's easy for people to condemn him and things like that. We have to go way beyond that because this is a specific incident. We have to think about general principles. So it's easy for me to say that, of course, everything he said was irresponsible and that he's fond of that, etc., etc., etc. Because, let's be honest, all of the four of us sitting here, we belong to a different class, social class than Mr. Abronye. It's very obvious from the way he speaks and everything else that he doesn't belong to the same social class as the four of us here. So it's easy for us then to be...
It's not that we are higher or lower.
No, it's a different social class. And that means, therefore, that he communicates with a different group of people.
You don't chat with that.
He discusses most of these things. Have you invited him to this show? You've never invited him to this show.
Because
there's probably a reason why you've
this show will not invite him.
What I'm saying is that he's an easy target. It's easy for you to condemn the things he does. The more pernicious, the more difficult situations are when very prominent people of extreme social standing, do similar things in a different guise.
Okay.
That's why general principles are very important.
Yeah, so how would you want a comment like that to be dealt with?
Abronye was even sacked from Wuntobi TV because of the way because of his effusions. And he created his own media platform.
Oh, here TV. I support him on that one.
So it's not only you who,
he said he hasn't got money, so he said that
and replace the people who appear on your show. Even the TV station that is aligned to his party decided to let him go.
Like that could have been factions. It could also be that he supports a different faction.
No. From the way he spoke.
But look, let's face it.
And I think
if these reports from your defamation and now IGP, and I think we've created too much drama over this matter. There's some action that could be taken.
Explain. The
Akutia matter is the important one because that would actually could easily have disturbed the peace. But defamation, I don't think
he
so.
says something that's not true. You rebut it.
My brother, do you know the number of things that I said are not true about you and me?
You rebut it and say, I hear plenty stuff. I hear plenty stuff that's said about me that's absolutely rubbish.
Yes.
Not true, but I ignore. I can afford to ignore. I don't know about the IGP. But when he says that, can't you rebut it and let it end there?
Exactly what I'm saying. Thank you.
No, the man, he must be responsible for his words.
No, nobody takes that from anyone. That everybody must be responsible for their words.
Yes,
but it's a bit of an overreach.
But that is why the jurisprudential
issues could have been brought. This allegation is false. If he persists, you could have just warned him. You don't now arrest the whole judicial system, the whole police system, only because of this. What he said was irresponsible, was reckless, should be condemned by his own party people. But
we shouldn't, by what we are saying
in this country for over a week.
We shouldn't, by what we are saying here, promote impunity.
No, I don't disagree with you. We are aligned on that.
Honorable Nusaf Bright had just spoken about we pay attention to who is talking about who. Before the Akutia election, you heard Anyagba, right?
Richard
Anyagba. he is communications director for the party, right? You heard him say that he held a press conference, actually, to say that there was recruitment of fake police for the purpose. How different is this? Who went after him?
That is more dangerous than this one.
Who went after him?
So Ahiagba.
We called him, we asked him for the evidence. He said that was his intelligence. He wouldn't share it.
Yeah, that's Ahiagba. Probably he's not known for saying those things. And one statement of that nature would not attract the attention of the police to go after him. Probably if he develops the habit of spewing false information, I mean, they need to, maybe, I mean, after he said that, many people would have called him and said, look, these are not the matters a communication director should say.
But the crime has been committed if it was a crime, whether it's the first time or not, and he did that publicly. So I mean, we all agree that the man was wrong, but I think that it was really.
So if he was wrong, we pat his back and say,
no, you should condemn it. You should deal him and warn him. But to address our judicial system and our police system.
So what he said, from where you sit, but something we need to be clear while you could say it's false because he has not provided the evidence, if he has any yet, how does he breach the peace? So he's facing these two charges.
Exactly.
What do you say?
So this is somebody who created his own platform. Went onto the platform and spewed gibberish. It's absolute gibberish. I will not tolerate that. And a sane society, a society that is civilized, a society that wants order, law and order, should not tolerate
You don't have the same sense of morality. That's up to you. Leave him alone.
At the fringes of the law, heart tells you, at the fringes of the law is morality.
But you know, the consequentialism...
So what are you talking about? So
okay.
if you say something which is morally wrong, the law says that morality in that law, which can trigger disturbances in society and disturb the peace of the people, you must be held responsible.
Let me hear miracles, and then we come about how the judge has come under a lot of criticism. Then after that, we'll take a break and return to the next issue. Yes, miracles.
I don't know why we are being very academic and making it even sound as if there's something rational going on with Abronye's situation. It's pure political wisdom. It's a strategy. I beg you. I deliberately refuse to participate in the earlier debate.
So, quick, you say it's pure political witch hunt.
Yes. And you see, the president cannot cultivate multiple Kevin Taylors. Water them, watch them grow, benefit from them. And then when he comes to power and the fruits are bearing, and we want to help him pluck the fruit and give him to him to taste, he says, no, all of a sudden I want to cut it.
Are you suggesting you are behind Abronye?
I beg you. I mean, if I am, I will say it. Let me make it. I will have no shame because the president has shown the way.
The question to him is if two wrongs make a right. That's
I'll come to that. You let me flow.
Yeah.
So you cannot cultivate and plant multiple Calvin Taylors. Plant and cultivate multiple Finney Jonas. Benefit from them. The guy basically walked into our country with an arrest warrant on his head. Walked through the airport with an allegation of having protection by the national security. And that can be validated by specific places where he was found. Sat on radio, boastfully, spoke and said nobody can do anything to him. Walked into the Supreme Court and got cleared by the nation's laws. It is extremely difficult for anybody around this to convince me that Abronye has done something that warrants what he is doing if our laws have cleared the earlier plans. Please let me flow. You see, there's something going on in Nepal right now. And if this government doesn't take care, and they think that in 2025, for fear of tasting their own medicine, they can put impediments in our ways, they are joking. Indeed, you can actually jail me. I won't lie to you about that. You can pick me up this morning and send me to jail. But do you know what will happen? There will be millions more of miracles coming up the very day you lock me up. So I'll never sit here and say, I will speak, I'll say whatever I want to say, there's nothing you can do to me. There are laws. Which laws are we going to formulate? Every single law that is against harmful speech, hate speech, whatever violent attacks, they are already there in our statute.
What's the comparison with Nepal?
I'm coming.
Because Nepal, the youth there are not doing party business. They have decided to come together. They have decided to come together as a united group to say we fight corruption. They have toppled the prime minister. They have toppled the president. Everybody is going away.
The youth are on the streets because when they started raising the issues of corruption, the government wanted to shut them up by shutting down social media. Please, that is the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that you cannot plant multiple Kevin Taylors. Give them roses in our country.
I agree with you on that.
And then when it is time for you to taste, why? Abronye is your opponent's version of Kevin Taylor. You don't want it? Then go back and fix the Kevin Taylor plant you planted. I am a Methodist. I am a Presby-trained person. He's my president. I was trained in the Kwafu Hall. I will never use hate speech. You will never hear me insulting anybody. I do not have a single record. As aggressive, forceful as I make my point, you can never have a single record of me, even attacking anybody's persona. I don't ever do that. But I will not take preaching the moral lessons from people who live in the brothel. The president is the last person that we would accept formulating such laws. You know what he's doing? He's afraid of his own shadows. When you call a clan, a tribe, Sakawa Mafia, is that hate speech? The president went on his social media handle and called the Achim people of this country Achim Sakawa Mafia.
No, he didn't call it.
I don't think.
No. Please. Let me tell you something, Mr. President. Mr. President, listen to me. Dennis Miracle Sabwat. I have never sat on any radio station. I make a point. The tweet is here. Please.
You know what you're saying? Not true.
It is true.
It's not true. A group of people were the target of the Sakawa Mafia.
Not the whole
And people know them. It's not about their
I'm sorry, seniors. I am the last person you will do this to. The man wrote, listen to me, he wrote, and the description was Achim Sakawa Mafia. Please, whether you are referring to, like I am here.
We know, we are not disputing that.
We are not.
But
So what are you talking about?
Correct?
No. But what was the description? What was the description? So what are you talking about?
I'm saying that the Achim Sakawa Mafia is not about the entire Achim people. You and I, all of us, always use this term Achim Mafia. We do it quietly. So let's not say we don't know what the Achim Mafia represents. It's a group of people, a particular group of people.
And there were photographs of those people, images of those people that were put up. Let's have him make it.
Can I please insist on the point I'm making?
Go ahead.
Without being gaslighted. Why are you making it quickly? Listen, the president knew the name of Nana Bediye Asante.
Okay, so now you know names.
He knew the name of Nana Dodanko Ekufuado. He knew the name of Gabi Ochredako. If you want to describe any group of persons and you call their clan and their tribe names, I'm asking a simple question. Is Achim Sakawa Mafia a hate speech or not? You can say it's not.
It's not.
Perfect. Okay, so if it is not, then I can list several things that so many people have written on social media that are not hate speech. Let me also quickly come and say, so I heard the president in his engagement say that, you know, if you sit on radio and say that I wish so and so person was in a helicopter, I wish so and so is in a helicopter,
the helicopter
then
that
it is
crashed.
a problem. If you sit on radio and TV, and as a former president, you say that Nana Dodanko Ekufuado is older than me, he is likely to die before I die. Is it the same?
It's not his wish.
I beg you.
It's not his wish.
Is the wish of? Is me wishing?
Stop interfering with him. Let him
I am
finish.
asking you.
You shouldn't be asking rhetoric questions.
You know, Dennis
But he's making a solid
he has his
point.
timer. He says it. So he will
I have
tell
said
me
it
that
already.
I have not given him
I am
enough
saying
time.
that. You see, I know what I'm saying. The president, he opened his mouth and said that the sitting president is likely to die before him. I am saying that point, is it a problematic point? If it is not, perfect. Then anybody sitting on TV,
Then he's don't be asking them questions.
then anybody sitting on TV, I'm asking you, anybody sitting on TV wishing that another person should have been in a helicopter could not be faulted for anything. It is not up to you to determine, I beg you. It's not up to you. Why? Don't we have 2-year-olds dying?
There's
Don't we have
nothing
7-year-olds
illegal about
dying?
a person to express his wish.
Exactly.
There's nothing illegal.
Yes.
It's just improper. It's unethical.
But it's also improper.
Yes, I mean,
it's equally improper for a former president to say that a certain president is likely to die before
My father is likely to die before me. I mean, it doesn't mean I hate him. It's a statistical fact.
And I'm likely to die before.
I'm likely to die before my children.
Mr. President, you don't answer any of my questions.
Okay.
Don't look at them and ask the questions. So
I'm looking at you.
Uh-huh.
The point here I'm making is that the president himself is complicit. And I can give you 15 of it. I have it here. 15.
So what's your point?
15
What's your point
of
now?
hate speeches, 15 of divisive speeches,
Very possible.
15 of several speeches that fall in the same category he wants to formulate laws about. There are laws already. If I insult or say something unpalatable against you, whether you are the IGP, you are the Attorney General, you are the President, there are laws that gives you room to seek redress. Don't attempt to sneak in laws that will gag us.
No, don't sneak in.
I beg you.
He has a legitimate point there. We have to be careful.
Attempt to sneak laws that will... You are stressing me up. I beg you.
I beg you, that you sneaking, it looks like we are...
Don't sneak in laws. Why? Don't sneak in laws. Don't sneak in laws
I know what you're saying.
that are attempting to gag us under the guise of, I want to prevent hate speech, I want to do so and so. Why? If Abronye says that he thinks the IGP is part of an NDC strategic team, it could be possible. It could be a lie. Let the IGP take him on in his personal capacity. Why we know in this country, when the same president and his government, his party people, said emphatically that our bench in the Supreme Court is loaded by MPP judges. And that when they give judgment, they taint it as MPP judgment. They call them names unanimous FC. Are we not in this country when they call the Chief Justice, Madame Gertrude Tokonu, the mother or whatever of MPP?
Women's organization.
So you see, my point here is, you benefited from all of this. Nobody died. The country didn't burn.
Yeah.
Don't attempt to, for the fear of the same medicine being applied to you, make laws. It will not work. Like I told you earlier, counsel, you could arrest me, honestly speaking. You could. In fact, I don't have to say anything for you to go after me.
Okay.
But tomorrow morning, just as it's happening in Nepal, there will be several other people rising up to defend this right. You said we are going to come to the specific...
We don't want
Abronye
Nepal in Ghana.
Right. No, then the government should act right.
We want demonstration when it has to happen. We don't want anybody burning Parliament or burning our Supreme Court or anything.
Right.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Hold on. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. It's brought to you by Bank of Africa's strongest group and closest partner, MTN everywhere you go. Ashas University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance, dial star 165 hash on MTN to join My Way today. Syntax Tanks is strong, it's tough. Activa International, our clients are Pashing International Facilities Management Association. They are proud to be associated with your most authoritative news analysis platform, Newsfile. Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature. Now, we need to move on to the president's comment about Galamsey and gold, small-scale mining that has unnerved Senyor Jose and his group very badly. But I'm holding you to just a minute each on the issue about this judge, Samuel Akwa, Bright Akwa, right? Who has been refusing to grant Abronye bail. Senyor.
Samson, for me, it's not about whether he granted bail or not. I already don't think that this case merited this energy and resources from the state. It could have been done simpler with a clear publication and instruction and warning. But for a judge to write a judgment and suggest in there or state categorically that we are not all equal before the law, that is disturbing.
It says in practice.
In practice.
That is the effect of it. The law and the courts is where we can practice that which we are entitled to. That is it. The courts bring finality to what we can access and not access. So if we can go to the court and the courts think that we are all not equal before the law, how do I ever get this constitutional right of mine ever enforced? Where's my hope? We have opened the door to political and elitism abuse. So if you do not have power, you don't count. But this is not the country we sought to build. That the Constitution clearly states from its start, it is we, the people. For God's sake, that judge and the judicial system must take a proper review of his conduct. I don't know the man. I have no personal problem with anybody. You may have legal reasons why you don't think Abronye should have bail. You understand? For example, the argument about flight risk, he has created a legitimacy for it himself. But to pass such comments which are referable, this is judgment, oh. They cannot be the path of our democracy. It can't be the path of our constitutionalism, and it must be condemned by every sound, legal, democratic mind, constitutional mind, legal mind. And I think the Chief Justice should take a particular interest in this matter and review this action. If there's a misconduct on his part, action should be taken. If there's a technical inappropriateness in it, it must be revised. We can't have this sitting anywhere in our judgment, because judgment equally become part of our law. Please.
These rulings at the lower court, they don't become part of our law.
So it's from the High Court.
They don't become part of our law.
So when does it become part of our law?
Well, this is a lower court, so it's not referable for any use in any court.
But we can't have some. And you should remember, this is somebody who is supposed to go to the High Court. True or false?
We understand We understand that he applied for promotion because he's qualified to go to the next stage, which is the High Court.
Yes.
And that he has gone through the processes, has been vetted, and is part of a short list of about 12 who will soon
go to the High Court,
receive their promotion
to the Superior Court. Can you imagine what is going to happen there if there's orientation of the person going there?
You disagree with his orientation? Yes.
Do you agree?
You see, when I heard initial comments about what the judge did in court, I was taken aback. I thought the judge did not rely on any previous decision or had just used his own personal idiosyncrasies. So you know that Carl Lewin has said it, the idiosyncrasies of the judge and not any pretensions of the law. It's actually the law. So when I heard that, I said, but why would the judge? And one writer, Kwesi Boche Jr., has said that the judge did not rely on any authority. So when I read the judgment, the judge relied on his own authority. It can be unethical, but he relied on authority and justified the reliance. He said for consistency. And you know...
Is that how to rely on authority?
Well, that's he relied on it.
He didn't refer to any ratio within the...
He said consistency. He said for consistency.
That in 2024 and in 2020, whatever, he has given...
And then remanded, he remanded somebody for a similar offense. That's what he said. And that did not raise any hue and cry.
Is that how to rely on authority?
But that's what he said. Okay, so for me, I've been wondering, why didn't Abronye's lawyers go to court ready to repeat the application in the High Court? Because we know that the criminal jurisdiction of the Circuit Court is subject to appeal to the High Court. Why didn't they do that? And if you think that this case is a political case, you should have been prepared.
From what you have read,
yes.
Should he be denied bail?
Well,
from what you have read around the case, should he be denied? I want to move on.
So, and I read the judgment, and he relied on Section 96C and A of the Criminal and Other Offences Act. So that also provides a basis for the exercise of his discretion. Whether his discretion is properly exercised or not.
To cool, as he says, cool tempers. The previous one, that's what he did, to cool tempers. Yes, Miracles.
Well, I mean, Council, my IP is 192.38.1.4.5. Because what I'm going to say, I'm not sure how it will be taken.
You don't need to tell it. We know your phone number.
It's okay. My IP is there. So, Council, I think that the IGP should simply stop what he is doing. As we speak, there's a video of the Buakwa North NDC constituency executive on video saying verbatim that he's going to kill the national organizer of the MPP, Nanabi, the minority leader, Afenyo Markin, and others. He's not working freely. Don't waste our time with Abronye saying something to bruise.
Do you think
people.
he should work free?
No.
Do you think he should work free?
Who?
The person you just mentioned.
No, I'm just making a point.
No, I'm asking you, do you think that person should work
If you
free?
threaten somebody, there are laws.
Okay.
If you threaten somebody, there are laws.
Okay.
Specific laws.
Okay.
That says that if somebody's lives are threatened, they've already petitioned the IGP. He hasn't acted on it. The IGP has a petition, has a complaint from the people who were threatened.
I thought the petition about Azoka and who has also
that
been
one is
arrested
also there.
and granted bail.
Did you ever see Azoka's arrest anywhere?
That's what we are told.
It's okay. Let's stick to this one. So that gentleman is working freely.
Yes.
The IGP went to Boko. His car was shot at in Boko. He hasn't been able to arrest the people who shot his car. His car, the IGP's car, was shot at in Boko. You know what he told them? I beg you, stop fighting. I promise you police recruitment. He should get serious.
You know that's a different terrain.
No, please. I beg you. I am only saying that there are more serious, important, critical things to do.
Okay.
Because if you are going to,
it's a minute. We all agreed. The time is gone.
But you used 2 minutes. I timed it.
Yes, Bright. Do you think fairly that from the facts you have gleaned, Abronye should not be granted bail?
From the facts I've gleaned, I think he should have been granted bail because I don't think he's in the position to interfere with the kind of investigations they are talking about. And the only really rational basis for denying bail, in my view, if you want to sum up the current practice, would be that you can interfere with investigations. Do you disagree?
That you are also
or witnesses or
They actually quoted this interference with investigations.
Yeah, but I'm saying that given the nature of the investigation you're talking about with NIB involved and the rest of it, I don't see I can interfere with it. Yeah. I mean, I just don't see the national.
All right, thank you.
It's very important for your audience. As for the judge, we've all read the thing. Everybody in the country is talking about it. I am sure in the next few weeks he should get his promotion. Because what he wrote, if it's not for promotion, I don't think any judge will write.
I think the decisional...
Oh, I beg you. Let's be factual. That before this case, as we understand, there was a window for people to get promotion. As we understand, please, let's not do this to every situation.
You are sharing information I don't know.
And he was one of the applicants, about 12, who have been shortlisted to get
just swallowing the red herring.
Okay,
throw in the red herring.
Don't do that.
So he's actually awaiting for something.
Don't do
Because
that.
otherwise, how do you quote a dictator? Idi Amin. In a democratic ruling.
He said Mugabe.
If the man says
It's not Mugabe. Is Mugabe an example? A good example?
No, please.
Okay, I'm sorry.
This man has been the red
You are
herring.
here. Your coalition. Why are you not happy with these comments by the president? Let's hear the president.